What's going on, guys? 7wolf77 here, back on Pharaoh A New Era. We are here at the city of Bubastis. I wanted to go ahead and do a quick video talking about culture and describing the difference between housing requirements for culture versus rating requirements. People see my videos and they're like, oh, you're a man of culture as well, and your housing's evolving, and you're getting all this stuff, and why does it look so easy, but I'm stuck at 25 culture or something like that. So hopefully I can use some of this to explain this and dispel any questions. And if I miss anything, or if you have any questions or comments, please leave me a comment down below. I will answer every single one of them to the best of my ability. Okay, housing requirements versus culture, or ratings, I guess I should say. So these are all fancy residences. They require a certain amount of things, quote unquote, to evolve. So we have like a scribal school, which goes towards your ratings, culture rating, but also towards housing evolution. Mortuary is the same thing. Access to a dentist, access to a physician, to a god, 2 gods, 3 gods. Those all influence your culture rating, okay? So most people struggle with entertainment. They get stuck. It's like jugglers only cover like 600 population, and they get enough for the houses to evolve, and now they're stuck because they can't. So when people say, oh, I'm stuck at 25 culture, usually it's your jugglers. But so that is housing requirements, okay? If you're not meeting those housing requirements, they won't evolve. But the more of those you have, the more things you'll go into your ratings. But ratings don't necessarily have to be next to your houses, and I'll explain that here in a second. So the first thing we always want to do is we want to check out our overseers over here. And actually, real quick, if you're interested in my housing loop here, if you're wondering how I build this, you can see that in my housing loop tutorial version 2 link below, and also like my industrial stuff over here that I'll show. Just a quick little plug, because people say, oh, that's really cool, you know, where can I learn that? It's on my channel, guys. I'll link it down below. All right, back to overseers. So we're going to start on our first one, overseer here, of public health. So we have perfect coverage for physicians, dentists, and mortuaries. Now, a good thing is, if you don't want to get in the nitty-gritty and count numbers and stuff like that, is always look for coverage down here. Perfect, perfect, perfect. That means 100% of my people have access to all of these things. Now, mortuaries, scribal schools, libraries, senate houses, zoos, things like that, they also have resource requirements like papyrus or game meat or beer and stuff like that. If they don't have those resources, they won't count. Your ratings will go down. It'll still show here as good, but your ratings will go down. Okay, so that's perfect coverage right there. Next thing we're going to look at is we're going to look at the overseers of learning. Scribal schools, they count for children, and they'll do 500 children per scribal school. So the housing requirement for scribal school versus the children requirement for scribal school is different. They actually don't have to have access to any housing, period. They just have to be in working order. All of mine do, and but I'm going to show you something here. And then libraries is 1,200. We have 2 of those, and it's 6,219. For the people, I'm not exactly sure what percentage of your people has to require that. I'll just keep building them until it says it's perfect. Now, you can see here, I have a scribal school here, a scribal school there, and another one over here. And these are palatial estates over here. Now, if I was to build scribal schools down here in my industrial loop, even though there's no houses, as long as they get access to papyrus, that number will count towards my overall ratings. Okay, so this will count towards the quote-unquote city coverage versus housing requirements. Okay, that's the point I'm getting at with that. So if I was to unpause and let these 2 get papyrus here, let's go ahead and see. They're going to bring some down. There we go. Now let's go ahead and take a look at our ratings again. Down to learning. You can see here now it's 2,500 versus 903 children. Okay, so that's education in a nutshell. It's pretty easy with that one, because minus the housing requirements, there you go. All right, so diversions. This one is the one that most people have issues with, okay? So you can see here our coverage is perfect all the way across. So there's entertainment points, and there is city coverage, okay? Entertainment points is required for houses to evolve, which comes from all the different types of entertainment, but city coverage is a static value. So jugglers are 600, musicians are 1,000, dancers are 1,800, a senate house is 7,500, and a zoo is 10,000. Okay, so that means for every 10,000 people, I'll need a zoo. They don't actually have to have access to it. It just has to have working resources. Now, if this does send out a worker, and that worker will walk around this loop, that will give you a whole lot of entertainment points as well for housing evolution, which is why these are all 4x4s. For palatial estates, these are the highest form of housing. But you can also do something like this. This is overkill. I was actually testing this up here for recording, but something like this will count towards your overall rating system, okay? It's janky, and I hate having to do it, but unfortunately, it's just the mechanic that it is. You can build these throughout your city, but they have to have access and stuff like that. So if you are interested in this, I'm going to go ahead and build them out real quick. So for the boost right here, which is what most people struggle with, is Juggler boost, because remember, it's only 600 people. So we're going to make some L's to that figure 8. So it's basically just doing that, L like that, and a repeating pattern, okay? We want it to look like this, and then we would just put our boost here. Now, these will not collapse. They will only burn. So we just need a firehouse. And if you ever wonder about that, you can just click on it and see it here. Okay. So that will count as 4 more juggler schools towards my overall. So that's 6, 12, 18, 24. So this is 2,400 population count. Okay. Now, things like dance school or bandstands and pavilions also have a juggler. So those will count towards your juggler count as well. So musicians is the next one that most people need probably more of. It's 3 by 2. It's again 3 by 2 again. We'll do it again. 3 by 2. 3 by 2. And then we'll just grab these buildings over here. You can control click to grab buildings. Control left click. Like that. And then our last little bit over here. Just put that right there. Now, once again, I don't have to worry about these getting employment because I have global labor pool on. You can technically build something like this. You just have to play with it so they can walk past housing. So these right here will count towards four more musician stages, so up to 4,000 people, plus 4 more juggler stages, which is 2,400 people right then and there, okay? So last up is temples. Temples don't necessarily directly impact culture, but they do. So sometimes when you're clicking through your culture rating over here, it'll say people want more temple access. People want more temple access. And that means that it's not a very explained value, but all of my housing here has access to 3 gods. So the more gods you can give a housing people access to, the better. Okay, so that one is somewhat dependent on people access. So like building a bunch over here counts towards my god's happiness. Cool, but it doesn't always count exactly towards my culture rating. So having more god access for your housing will always benefit your culture. I have 100% for all 3 gods for all of my housing, which is why my rating is 100. Now, one little quick note here at the very end, I want to talk about deities. So your patron god versus your local god. Your patron god is your main one here, which is the first one you can see here. It says patron. For each temple that you have, it'll count as 450 people, okay, for coverage. So 3 temples here is 1,350 people per coverage. Now, I have a temple complex, which should be, I believe it's 10,000. It's either 8, I think they buffed it to 10,000. So if you get your temple complex down, you're pretty much good for most of the time. But people still want access to that god as well. Now, for your local deity, it's basically double that. So for every one of these, it counts for 2 of these. So my 2 local gods here, which is Osiris and Taft, every temple is 900, which is double the value. So you can look at this 7. If you're thinking of it in that way, it technically kind of count as 14. So that's 6,300 people. So it's 450 times 7 times, which then times 2 basically, which is 6,300. I'm sorry. And then the same for that one. So I would almost have to build another one here soon because I don't have enough. I would not have enough as soon as I get above that. All right, so that's temples. All right, guys, I hope this video helped dispel any questions or anything like that you might have. If you have any more, if I missed anything, please leave me a comment below. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. It does help me a lot. I'm trying to grow the channel, and every comment, every like, every subscription means so much to me, and I do appreciate it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.